June 14th, 2023. Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Terminal D. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as 24-year-old Megan Riley stood in the security line, passport clutched in her trembling hand. Around her, families shuffled forward with strollers and rolling suitcases. Business travelers typed furiously on laptops. But Megan existed in a different reality entirely. She was flying to Dubai to meet a man she'd never seen in person. A man who had promised her everything. A man whose face she knew only through carefully curated photos and FaceTime calls that always seemed to have connection issues at convenient moments. Her best friend Jenna stood beside her, arms crossed, worry etched into every line of her face. "Meg, it's not too late. You can still turn around." Megan forced a smile. Adjusted the designer purse that had arrived at her apartment 3 weeks earlier. A gift from Khalid al-Rashid, the man waiting for her across the ocean. "I'm fine, Jen. I promise. You're flying halfway around the world to meet someone you've talked to online for 4 months. That's not fine. That's insane." The words stung because they were true. But Megan had already made her choice. Had already quit her job at Methodist Dallas Medical Center. Had already told her parents she was taking a nursing opportunity abroad. Had already spent hours imagining the life Khalid described. Luxury hotels, private beaches, a love story that transcended geography and circumstance. "He's different," Megan whispered. "I know you don't understand, but he sees me. Really sees me." Jenna grabbed her arm. Hard. "Meg, listen to yourself. You sound like every woman on those missing persons shows. The ones who travel to meet some guy they met online and never come home." Megan pulled away. "I'm not some naive kid. I'm a registered nurse. I can take care of myself. Can you?" Jenna's voice cracked. "Because right now, you're about to get on a plane to a country where you don't know anyone, don't speak the language, and your only contact is a man who might not even be who he says he is." For a moment, just a flicker, doubt crossed Megan's face. But then her phone buzzed. A message from Khalid. "I cannot wait to hold you, Habibti. My heart counts every second until you arrive." The doubt evaporated, replaced by something stronger. Something that felt like love but tasted like desperation. "I have to go," Megan said softly. "My flight boards in 30 minutes. Jenna's eyes filled with tears. "Call me the second you land. Promise me." "I promise." They hugged. Long and tight. The kind of embrace that feels like goodbye even when both people are pretending it's just see you later. When they pulled apart, Jenna searched her friend's face one more time. "If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you get to the embassy. You hear me?" Megan nodded. But both women knew she wouldn't. Because women like Megan, women who had spent their whole lives feeling invisible, overlooked, ordinary, didn't walk away when someone finally made them feel extraordinary. Even when every instinct screamed danger. Even when the fairy tale had cracks wide enough to fall through. Megan Riley passed through security at 6:47 p.m. Her Emirates flight departed at 8:15 p.m. 16 hours later, she would land in Dubai. 3 weeks after that, fishermen would find her torso floating in the Persian Gulf, wrapped in expensive silk, her hands and head missing. But right now, standing in the airport, boarding pass in hand, Megan Riley believed she was flying toward love. She had no idea she was flying toward her death. Welcome to True Crime Dossier. To our loyal viewers and subscribers, thank you for being here. Your support means everything. Today's story will take you deep into the psychology of modern romance, international deception, and a murder that shocked 2 continents. Stay with us. This one will haunt you. Megan Riley was born on a cold February morning in 1999 at Texas Health Harris Methodist Hospital in Fort Worth. She came into the world 3 weeks early, a fighter from the beginning, according to her mother Linda Riley. She was always determined. Linda would later tell investigators, her voice hollow. Even as a baby, if Megan wanted something, she found a way to get it. The Riley family was solidly middle class. Father Tom Riley worked as an automotive parts manager. Linda was an elementary school teacher. They lived in a modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, the kind of neighborhood where kids still played in the streets and everyone knew everyone else's business. Megan was their only child. Not by choice. Linda had 3 miscarriages after Megan, but they poured all their love and attention into their daughter. Maybe too much attention. Maybe not enough. Childhood photos show a gap-toothed girl with bright eyes and messy ponytails. A girl who played softball and took piano lessons and got good grades without much effort. A normal kid. Happy, or at least convincingly happy. But something shifted around age 13. Megan's middle school best friend Ashley Cooper remembers the change. She got really quiet that year. Stopped hanging out as much. Started spending all her time online. It was 2012. Instagram was new. Facebook was still cool. And Megan discovered that online, she could be anyone. Could curate a version of herself that was prettier, funnier, more interesting than the real thing. She wasn't bullied, exactly. Just overlooked. The invisible girl in the middle of every group photo. Never quite pretty enough to be popular. Never quite funny enough to be the center of attention. Just there. High school was more of the same. Megan joined the volleyball team sophomore year and quit after 3 months. Tried theater junior year and had 1 line in the spring play. Dated a boy named Marcus for 6 weeks senior year until he broke up with her via text to date her lab partner. I think that really hurt her, Linda Riley said during her police interview. Marcus was her first real boyfriend. She thought it was serious. When he left her for Rachel, Megan didn't eat for 3 days. But Megan graduated with a 3.6 GPA and got accepted to Texas Woman's University in Denton for their nursing program. Her parents were proud. Megan was relieved. College would be different, she told herself. College would be where she finally became the person she was meant to be. Nursing school was brutal. The coursework was demanding. Clinical rotations were exhausting. But Megan thrived in a way she never had before. Here, finally, was something she was genuinely good at. Patients liked her. Professors praised her attention to detail. She passed her NCLEX on the first try in December 2021. By January 2022, she was working as a registered nurse in the cardiac unit at Methodist Dallas. 23 years old, living in a small apartment in Plano, finally independent. But something was still missing. Jenna, who had been Megan's roommate during nursing school and remained her closest friend, saw it clearly. Meg was good at her job. Really good. But she wasn't happy. She'd come home from 12-hour shifts and just scroll through Instagram for hours. Looking at influencers, travel bloggers, women living these glamorous lives. Megan's own Instagram told a different story. Photos of hospital coffee. Inspirational nursing quotes. Occasional selfies with heavy filters. In 3 years of posting, her highest engagement was 42 likes on a sunset photo from her apartment balcony. She wanted more. Wanted the life she saw other people living. Wanted to be the girl in the designer dress at the rooftop party, not the girl in scrubs eating leftover pasta at midnight. I think she felt like life was passing her by, Jenna said. Like everyone else was having these amazing experiences and she was just stuck. That feeling of stuckness. Of invisibility. Of watching everyone else live while you just exist. That's what made Megan vulnerable. That's what made her the perfect target. Khalid al-Rashid slid into Megan's life the way predators always do. Slowly, carefully, with just enough truth mixed in to make the lies believable. It started with an Instagram DM in February 2023. Your dedication to helping others is beautiful. The world needs more people like you. Megan almost didn't respond. Her DM requests were usually spam, crypto bots, OnlyFans promotions, the occasional creep. But something about this message felt different. It was thoughtful. Specific. It referenced her bio, which mentioned being a cardiac nurse. She clicked on his profile. At Khalid_al-Rashid_official. The photos showed a handsome man in his early 30s. Perfectly groomed beard. Expensive watches. Photos at luxury hotels, on yachts, in front of supercars. One picture showed him at what appeared to be a palace, standing beside an older man in traditional Emirati dress. His bio was simple: family, faith, future. United Arab Emirates Dubai Business Development. 18,000 followers. Following only 300. Meghan felt a flutter in her chest. This man, this attractive, successful man, had noticed her. Had taken the time to send a genuine compliment. She responded. Just something simple. Thank you, that's really kind. His reply came within minutes. And from there, the conversation flowed. He asked about her work. She asked about Dubai. He told her about his family's real estate business. She told him about her patients, the ones who made her job worthwhile. The messages continued for 3 days. Then he asked for her number. Instagram is unreliable. I would like to continue our conversation properly. Meghan hesitated. Giving out her number to an internet stranger went against every safety rule she'd ever learned. But something about Khalid felt safe. Respectful. Genuine. She gave him her number. The text started immediately. Good morning messages. Questions about her day. Photos of Dubai sunrises with captions like, thinking of you as the city wakes. 2 weeks in, he sent his first voice note. His accent was smooth, educated, exactly what she'd imagined. I hope I am not being too forward, but I find myself thinking about you constantly. There is something about you, Meghan. Something real. Her heart raced. No one had ever said anything like that to her. No one had ever made her feel like she was special just for existing. The voice notes became video calls. Always brief, 5, maybe 10 minutes. Always with an excuse for why he couldn't talk longer. Business meeting. Family obligation. Prayer time. But in those brief windows, Khalid was magnetic. He asked about her dreams. Her fears. Her childhood. He told her about growing up in Dubai, the pressure of family expectations, the loneliness of his position. People see the money, the lifestyle, he said during one call, his face pixelated by a supposedly weak connection. But they do not see the isolation. How difficult it is to find someone real. Someone like you. By mid-March, Meghan was completely absorbed. She thought about Khalid constantly. Checked her phone every few minutes. Smiled at messages only she could see. Jenna noticed the change immediately. Who are you texting? Just a friend. A friend who makes you blush like that? Meghan tried to play it cool. But eventually she told Jenna everything. About Khalid. About their connection. About how he made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. Jenna's reaction was immediate. Meg, this sounds like a scam. It's not a scam. Then it's catfishing. Or worse. You haven't talked to him. You don't understand. I understand that you've never met this person. That every photo could be stolen. That people lie online every single day. But Meghan didn't want to hear it. Because believing Jenna meant accepting that the first man to ever make her feel extraordinary might not be real. And that possibility was more painful than any potential danger. In April, Khalid sent the first gift. A Tiffany bracelet. Sterling silver with a heart charm. It arrived at her apartment with a handwritten note. For the woman who holds my heart. K. Meghan cried when she opened it. Wore it every single day. Posted a photo of it on Instagram with the caption, feeling blessed. Jenna saw the post. Called immediately. Please tell me you didn't accept expensive jewelry from the internet stranger. His name is Khalid. And it's not expensive. It's thoughtful. Meg, I know you're worried. I get it. But you're wrong about him. More gifts followed. Designer perfume. A Gucci purse. AirPods Pro. Each one came with a note. Each one made Meghan feel more special, more chosen. The video calls became longer. The conversations deeper. Khalid talked about his future, their future. I know this seems fast, he said one night in May. But when you know, you know. I want you here, Meghan. I want to show you my world. I can't just fly to Dubai, she protested, even as her heart raced at the possibility. Why not? Money. Work. My parents would freak out. I will handle everything. The flight, the hotel, everything. Just say yes. Meghan wanted to say yes. Desperately. But fear held her back. fear and Jenna's warnings echoing in her head. I need to think about it. Khalid's voice softened. Of course. I do not want to pressure you. But Megan, I need you to understand something. I am falling in love with you. And I cannot keep living in this space between reality and dreams. I need to hold you. To see your face without a screen between us. Tears streamed down Megan's face. I'm falling in love with you too. Then come to me. Let me show you what our life could be. That night, Megan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Khalid's words replaying in her mind. Someone loved her. Someone wanted her. Not someday. Not eventually. Now. By morning, her decision was made. On May 23rd, Megan Riley gave her 2 weeks' notice at Methodist Dallas. Told her supervisor she was pursuing an international nursing opportunity. Told her parents she'd been offered a temporary position in the UAE with incredible pay. Told Jenna she was going to Dubai to meet Khalid, and nothing anyone said would change her mind. The tickets arrived via email on June 1st. Round trip. Emirates business class. Departure June 14th. Return July 14th. 1 month in paradise with the man she loved. Except Khalid al-Rashid didn't love Megan Riley. Khalid al-Rashid wanted to kill her. And he'd been planning it since the day he sent that first message. What Megan didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that Khalid al-Rashid wasn't his real name. The man she loved didn't exist. The Instagram profile she'd studied so carefully was a masterwork of deception. Photos stolen from a real Emirati businessman who lived in Abu Dhabi. The palace photo? Taken from a tourism website. The expensive cars? Stock images with subtle filters to make them look like personal photos. The man behind the account was named Omar Hassan Mansour. He was 38 years old. Egyptian by birth. Living in Dubai on an expired visa. Working odd jobs, delivery driver, warehouse worker, whatever paid cash and didn't ask questions. He was also a psychopath. Not in the Hollywood sense. In the clinical sense. Omar Hassan Mansour possessed a textbook cluster of traits that made him extraordinarily dangerous. Superficial charm, complete lack of empathy, calculating intelligence, and an ability to mimic human emotion so convincingly that even trained professionals could be fooled. His childhood in Cairo had been marked by cruelty. Neighbors remembered a boy who hurt animals for entertainment. Teachers recalled a student who lied compulsively, even when the truth would have served him better. His mother died when he was 12, some said cancer, others whispered suicide. His father, a taxi driver, beat him regularly, sometimes for reasons, sometimes just because. Omar left Egypt at 19 with forged documents and a head full of rage. He drifted through the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, working menial jobs and nursing a growing obsession with the wealthy locals who looked through him like he was furniture. In Dubai, he watched Emirati men in pristine Kanduras walk past him without a glance. Watched them park their Ferraris while he delivered their food. Watched them with their Western girlfriends, blonde, beautiful women who giggled at their jokes and took selfies at restaurants that cost more than Omar made in 6 months. The rage calcified into something colder. More focused. If he couldn't be them, he could pretend to be them. And if he pretended well enough, he could have what they had. At least for a little while. The Instagram account was born in January 2023. Omar spent weeks curating it. He studied real Emirati profiles, mimicked their aesthetic, copied their captions. Bought followers to make the account look established. Created a persona that was aspirational without being so over the top that it triggered suspicion. Then he went hunting. His criteria were specific. American women, aged 22 to 26, working professional jobs, nurses, teachers, social workers, careers that suggested compassion and trust. Modest social media following, easy to impress, hungry for validation. And most importantly, a certain loneliness visible in their posts. Omar could spot loneliness the way sharks smell blood. Megan Riley's Instagram practically glowed with it. He studied her for 2 weeks before sending that first message. Learned her schedule. Noted that she posted about 12-hour shifts, which meant she was probably exhausted and craving connection. Observed that her photos rarely included other people, which meant a limited social circle. Saw that she used filters heavily, which suggested insecurity about her appearance. Perfect. The courtship phase was textbook love bombing. Constant attention. Thoughtful messages. Mirroring her values and interests. Making her feel like the most important person in his world. The gifts were strategic. Expensive enough to feel significant, but not so expensive that they triggered alarm bells. He'd learned from previous attempts that going too big too fast made women suspicious. Previous attempts. Meghan wasn't Omar's first victim. She was his fourth. The first had been a 23-year-old teacher from Manchester, England. Sarah Mitchell flew to Dubai in October 2022. Her family reported her missing when she didn't return as scheduled. Dubai police investigated. Found her hotel room ransacked. Found evidence she'd withdrawn money from ATMs across the city. Found nothing else. The case went cold within 6 weeks. The second victim was a 25-year-old social worker from Toronto. Rachel Kowalski arrived in Dubai in December 2022. Her last message to her sister said she was meeting Khalid for dinner. She was never heard from again. Canadian authorities contacted Dubai police. The hotel confirmed Rachel had checked in but never checked out. Her room had been cleaned and re-rented. Surveillance footage showed her leaving the hotel with a man whose face was obscured by a baseball cap. Another cold case. The third was a 24-year-old marketing coordinator from Sydney. Emma Thornton disappeared in March 2023. Her credit cards were used at various locations around Dubai for 3 days after she vanished, then stopped. Her body was never found. Australian authorities pushed harder. Dubai police opened a formal investigation. But without bodies, without witnesses, without solid leads, the investigation stalled. Omar Hassan Mansour was careful. He varied his methods, changed his appearance, never used the same hotel twice. And most importantly, he made sure the women withdrew cash and used their credit cards after they were already dead, creating false trails that suggested they'd left voluntarily. But with Meghan, he had something different planned. Something bigger. Something that would establish his dominance over the wealthy Emiratis he despised. Something that would let him destroy beauty the way beauty had destroyed him his entire life. Meghan Riley wasn't just going to disappear. Meghan Riley was going to be discovered. In pieces. As a message. A message that Omar Hassan Mansour existed. That he mattered. That he could take from the beautiful people and leave behind only horror. On June 14, 2023, as Meghan Riley boarded her flight to Dubai, Omar was already preparing. He'd rented a small warehouse space in Al Quoz, an industrial area where screams wouldn't be heard over machinery. He'd purchased tools, plastic sheeting, cleaning supplies, and silk fabric, the expensive kind that wealthy Emiratis used, that he would wrap around pieces of Meghan's body like a grotesque gift. He texted her while she was in the air. "Landing soon, my love. I can barely contain my excitement." Meghan read it during a layover in Milan, smiled, took a selfie in the airport bathroom and sent it to him. "Almost there. I can't believe this is real." Omar stared at the photo, at her smile, at the innocent hope in her eyes. He felt nothing, just the calm, cold satisfaction of a hunter watching prey walk into a trap. Emirates Flight 221 touched down at Dubai International Airport at 11:47 p.m. local time on June 15, 2023. Meghan had barely slept during the 16-hour journey. Too excited. Too nervous. Too overwhelmed by the reality that she was actually here, about to meet the man she'd been talking to for 4 months. She'd changed clothes 3 times in the airplane bathroom during the flight. Finally settled on the outfit she'd agonized over for weeks. A modest but stylish maxi dress, denim jacket, minimal jewelry except for the Tiffany bracelet Khalid had given her. As she walked through the terminal, pulling her carry-on behind her, Dubai felt like another planet. Everything was gleaming, massive, impossibly luxurious. Even the airport looked like a 5-star hotel. Immigration was quick. The officer barely glanced at her passport before stamping it. Tourist visa. 30 days. Megan collected her checked bag and headed toward arrivals, heart pounding so hard she could hear it over the airport announcements. This was it. The moment everything changed. The moment the fairy tale became real. She passed through the sliding doors into the arrivals hall. Scanned the crowd of drivers holding signs, families embracing, businessmen on phones. No Khalid. She pulled out her phone. Texted him. I'm here. Where are you? The reply came immediately. Outside Terminal 3, Habibi. Black Mercedes. I could not wait inside. Too many people. I want our first moment to be private. Megan smiled. Of course he wanted privacy. He was romantic like that. She followed the signs to Terminal 3 ground transportation. The warm night air hit her as she stepped outside. Even at midnight, Dubai was humid, the air thick and heavy. She looked around. Saw dozens of black Mercedes. Sent another text. Which one? Look for the one flashing lights. Can you see it? There, 50 yards to her right. A black Mercedes sedan, hazard lights blinking. Megan's stomach fluttered. This was real. This was actually happening. She walked toward the car, wheeling her suitcase, her other hand gripping her phone like a lifeline. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Tall. Well-dressed. Dark hair. Beard. But something was wrong. He looked like the photos, but different. Older maybe. Or the photos had been more filtered than she'd realized. His smile was wide, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Megan. He opened his arms. Finally. She hesitated. Just for a second. Some primal part of her brain screaming that something was off. But she'd come this far. Had quit her job. Had lied to her parents. Had ignored every warning. Turning back now would mean admitting Jenna was right. Would mean admitting she'd been a fool. So Megan Riley stepped into Omar Hassan Mansour's embrace. He held her tight. Too tight. You are even more beautiful in person, he whispered. You too, she managed, even though her voice sounded strange to her own ears. He pulled back, hands on her shoulders, studying her face. How was your flight? Long. But worth it. I am so happy you are here. He took her suitcase, loaded it into the trunk. Opened the passenger door for her. Come. I have so much to show you. Megan slid into the car. Expensive leather seats. The smell of cologne, sharp, heavy. She buckled her seatbelt as Omar got in the driver's side. Are we going to the hotel? She asked. Soon. First, I want to take you somewhere special. A place where we can talk without interruption. At midnight, he smiled, reached over and squeezed her hand. Dubai never sleeps, Habibti. You will see. They pulled away from the airport. Megan watched the city lights blur past. Everything was so big, so modern, so different from Texas. She sent a quick text to Jenna. Landed safe. With Khalid now. We'll call tomorrow. Jenna's reply was immediate. Call me now. I need to hear your voice. But Khalid was talking, pointing out landmarks, the Burj Khalifa in the distance, the skyline, the marina they were passing. Megan didn't want to be rude. Didn't want their first moments together to be her on the phone with her friend. Can't talk now. I promise I'm fine. Love you. She silenced her phone and dropped it in her purse. It was the last message Jenna would ever receive from her. The drive continued. Away from the glittering downtown. Away from the tourist areas. Toward the industrial outskirts Megan didn't know existed. Where are we going? She asked as the buildings became more sparse, more utilitarian. A friend's place. Very private. I thought we could have coffee talk, without being disturbed. I'm pretty tired. Maybe we could just go to the hotel. His hand tightened on the steering wheel. Just slightly. Of course. But just for a moment. I have something special planned. Every instinct Megan possessed was screaming now. This wasn't right. This wasn't the romantic first meeting she'd imagined. This was wrong, wrong, wrong. Khalid, I really think. We are here. He pulled up to a warehouse building. Dark. Isolated. No other cars in sight. What is this place? My friend's business. Import-export. Come. Just for a moment. He was already out of the car. Opening her door. smiling that smile that didn't reach his eyes. Megan stayed in her seat. I don't want to go in there. Megan. His voice was patient, but something flickered beneath it. You flew 16 hours to see me. And now you will not walk inside for 5 minutes. This doesn't feel right. What does not feel right? I am showing you my world. This is part of my life, business, investments. I thought you wanted to know me. Guilt crashed through her. Maybe she was being paranoid. Maybe this was just culture shock. Maybe Jenna's warnings had poisoned her thinking. Just 5 minutes, Omar said. Then hotel. Then sleep. I promise. Megan stepped out of the car. It was the last choice she would ever make. The interior of the warehouse was dark except for a single lamp in the far corner. Megan's footsteps echoed on the concrete floor. Call it, I really don't. She heard the door close behind her. Lock clicking. She spun around. Why did you lock it? Omar stood between her and the exit. Still smiling. But now the smile was different. Colder. More honest. I locked it because I do not want us to be disturbed. Khalid, you're scaring me. My name is not Khalid. The words hung in the air. Megan's brain struggled to process them. What? I said, my name is not Khalid. He took a step toward her. Khalid is a character I play. A fantasy I created. But you believed it. Believed all of it. The photos, the stories, the love. Terror flooded Megan's system. Who are you? That does not matter. Please. Her voice was shaking. Please, I'll just go. I won't tell anyone. I'll get a flight home and... There is no flight home, Megan. He moved toward her. Fast. Megan ran. Across the warehouse, looking for another exit, another door, anything. But Omar had prepared this space carefully. There was one entrance. One exit. And he controlled it. She screamed. The sound echoed off concrete and metal, going nowhere, heard by no one. Omar walked toward her slowly, savoring this. The moment fear replaced hope. The moment she understood. Why? Megan sobbed. Why are you doing this? Because I can. Please. I have money. I can get you money. Whatever you want. I do not want money. He pulled something from his pocket. Zip ties. I want to show people like you, beautiful, privileged people, that you are not untouchable. That you bleed and cry and die just like everyone else. I'm not privileged. I'm a nurse. I work 12-hour shifts. I have student loans and... You had choices. His voice was cold, flat. You chose nursing. You chose to quit. You chose to fly here. You had the luxury of choices. I had none. I have never had any. That's not my fault. I know. He grabbed her. She fought. Scratched his face. Drew blood. He barely flinched. Just twisted her arm until she screamed. Forced her to the ground. Zip-tied her wrists behind her back. Please, please, please. Megan was sobbing. Please don't do this. Omar looked down at her. Studied her face the way someone might study an insect. I told you that you were beautiful. That was not a lie. You are beautiful. But beauty is temporary. Fragile. And I am going to show you exactly how fragile it is. What happened next in that warehouse took 3 days. 3 days of horror that Megan Riley endured before Omar Hassan Mansour finally granted her the mercy of death. 3 days that forensic psychologists would later describe as textbook sadistic torture. Pain inflicted not for information or punishment, but for the torturer's pleasure. 3 days that would leave trauma on everyone who investigated the case, that would require counseling for the responding officers, that would change laws about how authorities handle missing persons cases involving international online relationships. The details don't need to be explicit to be understood. Enough to know that Megan suffered, that she begged, that she prayed, that she promised anything and everything if he would just stop. But Omar Hassan Mansour didn't stop. On June 18, 2023, 3 days after Megan Riley arrived in Dubai, Omar killed her. Used a knife to cut her throat. Watched her bleed out on the plastic sheeting he'd laid down carefully, methodically, like the tradesman he could have been in another life. Then he went to work. He dismembered her body with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Separated her head and hands. the parts most easily identified. Put them in bags weighted with concrete. Drove to Jebel Ali port and threw them into deep water where they would never be found. Her torso and legs he wrapped in expensive silk fabric. Loaded into his car. Drove to a different location. A fishing area along the Persian Gulf where locals pulled up catch at dawn. He dumped her torso into the water just before sunrise on June 19th. Threw her legs in a kilometer away. Then he went back to the warehouse. Cleaned. Meticulously. Bleach and industrial cleaners and 16 hours of scrubbing until no trace of Megan Riley remained. He kept one thing. Her passport. Slipped it into his pocket like a trophy. By June 20th, Omar Hassan Mansour was back at work delivering food. Just another invisible man moving through a city that never noticed him. Megan Riley was gone. Erased from Dubai as thoroughly as if she'd never existed. Except for the silk-wrapped pieces of her body floating in the Gulf. Waiting to be discovered. Waiting to tell their story. Back in Texas, Jenna was losing her mind. Megan's last text had been on June 15th. Can't talk now. I promise I'm fine. Love you. For the first day, Jenna told herself it was normal. Megan was with Khalid. Probably busy. Probably having the time of her life and forgetting to check her phone. But by June 17th, when every call went to voicemail and every text stayed on delivered but not read, Jenna's worry turned to panic. She called Megan's parents. Tom Riley answered. Jenna, hi. What's up? Have you heard from Megan? Not since she landed. She sent a quick message saying she arrived safe. Why? I haven't been able to reach her for 2 days. Well, she's probably busy with work. You know how those international nursing contracts are long shifts, different time zones. Mr. Riley, Megan didn't go to Dubai for a nursing job. Silence. What do you mean? Jenna explained everything. The online relationship. The gifts. The man Megan had never met in person. The flight to Dubai that was supposed to be about love, not work. Tom Riley's voice went cold. You're telling me my daughter lied to us and flew to another country to meet an internet stranger? Yes. And now I can't reach her. Neither can you. Mr. Riley, something's wrong. Jesus Christ. She heard him yelling for Linda. Heard his wife's confused voice in the background. I'm calling the State Department. I'm calling everyone. God damn it, Jenna. Why didn't you stop her? I tried. She wouldn't listen. You should have tried harder. The line went dead. Jenna sat in her apartment, staring at her phone, heart racing. What if she'd tried harder? What if she'd physically stopped Megan from getting on that plane? What if she'd called Megan's parents earlier, forced an intervention? The guilt was crushing. But guilt wouldn't bring Megan back. Action would. Jenna called the Dallas Police Department. Filed a missing persons report. Was told that since Megan was an adult who had traveled voluntarily, there was nothing they could do immediately. They'd make a note of it. Suggested she contact the U.S. Embassy in Dubai. She called the embassy. Was transferred 3 times. Finally spoke to a consular officer who took down Megan's information. We'll make inquiries, the officer said. But understanding that she traveled there voluntarily and without evidence of foul play, our options are limited. She's missing. That's evidence. She's been out of contact for 48 hours. In cases involving adult travelers, we typically wait longer before. How long? How long do you wait before you give a damn? Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but... Jenna hung up. Called Megan's parents. They were already on the phone with the State Department, with their congressman's office, with anyone who might help. But help moved slowly. Bureaucracy moved slowly. International cooperation moved slowly. And Megan Riley didn't have time. By June 20th, 5 days after Megan landed in Dubai, her story finally got traction. Tom and Linda Riley went to local news stations. Channel 8 ran a segment. Local nurse missing in Dubai after meeting man online. The story included Megan's photo. The Instagram profile of Khalid al-Rashid. Warning about online romance scams. Jenna did interviews. Crying. Desperate. Megan is one of the kindest people I know. She just wanted to be loved. And someone took advantage of that. Please, if anyone knows anything, please help us find her. The Riley family set up a Facebook page. Help find Megan Riley. It gained 3,000 followers in 2 days. People shared the post, sent prayers, contributed to a GoFundMe to pay for private investigators. But in Dubai, the response was muted. Local police filed a report, sent officers to the hotel where Megan's reservation had been made, a reservation that had never been checked into. They contacted Emirates, confirmed Megan Riley had landed on Flight 221. Immigration confirmed she'd entered the country. After that, nothing. No hotel records. No credit card usage. No phone activity. It was as if Megan Riley had landed in Dubai and vanished into thin air. The FBI opened an investigation. Sent agents to interview Jenna, interview Megan's co-workers, build a timeline. Worked with Dubai police through official channels. But without a body, without physical evidence, without witnesses, the case was vapor. Theories and maybes and digital footprints that led nowhere. The Instagram account for Khalid al-Rashid went dark. Deleted on June 16th, the day after Megan landed. Forensic analysts tried to trace the IP addresses, the photo sources, the account creation. Hit dead ends. VPNs, stolen photos. Burner phones that pinged towers and then went silent. Whoever was behind the account knew what he was doing. By the end of June, the media had moved on. Megan's story became another tragic statistic. Another warning about the dangers of online dating. Another reason parents told their daughters to be careful. Tom and Linda Riley, aged 20 years in 2 weeks. Stopped sleeping. Stopped eating. Sat by the phone waiting for news that never came. Jenna quit nursing. Couldn't do it anymore. Every shift reminded her of Megan. Every patient reminded her that she'd failed her best friend. And in Dubai, Omar Hassan Mansour delivered food and cleaned warehouses and slept soundly, dreamless, untroubled by conscience. Until July 3rd, when a fisherman named Rashid Al Maktoum found something in his net. Rashid Al Maktoum had been fishing the same waters off Jumeirah Beach for 37 years. He knew these currents, knew what the tide brought in and carried away. On the morning of July 3rd, 2023, at 5:42 a.m., his net snagged on something heavy. At first, he thought it was debris. The Gulf was full of garbage, plastic, tires, construction waste from the endless development projects. But when he pulled the net up, he saw fabric. Expensive-looking silk, soaked and stained. And inside the silk, wrapped carefully like a grotesque gift, was a human torso. Female. Pale skin. Decomposition accelerated by the warm water. Rashid dropped the net. Stumbled backward. Started praying. His son, fishing with him that morning, called the police. Dubai Coast Guard responded within 30 minutes. Secured the scene. Brought the remains ashore. Forensic teams arrived. Photographed everything. The silk fabric was noted immediately. Expensive, distinctive, not the kind of material usually associated with body dumps. The medical examiner's initial assessment. Female victim, approximately 20 to 30 years old, Caucasian, torso only. Hands and head removed, likely to prevent identification. But the killer had made one critical mistake. He'd wrapped the torso in fabric that held trace evidence. Fibers. DNA. And when forensic teams examined the silk closely, they found something else. Microscopic fragments of concrete dust, warehouse dust, industrial particles that could be traced. 2 days later, on July 5th, another fisherman found the legs. Same silk wrapping. Same careful bundling. Dubai police knew they were dealing with a serial killer. Methodical. Organized. Dangerous. They ran the victim's DNA through international databases. Got a hit within 6 hours. Megan Riley. 24 years old. American. Registered nurse. Reported missing by family on June 17th. The FBI was notified immediately. Tom and Linda Riley received a phone call at 3:17 a.m. Texas time. Their daughter was dead. Murdered. Dismembered. Found in pieces in the Persian Gulf. Linda Riley's screams woke the neighbors. Tom Riley collapsed. Had to be taken to the hospital with chest pains that weren't a heart attack but felt like dying. Jenna heard the news from a reporter who called asking for comment. She hung up, sat on her bathroom floor for 3 hours. Didn't cry. Couldn't cry. Just sat there feeling the weight of I was right crushing her chest. The story exploded across media. International headlines. American nurse murdered in Dubai after meeting man online. Romance scam turns deadly. Dubai police hunt serial killer after body parts found in Gulf. The investigation went into overdrive. Dubai police pulled CCTV footage from the airport. Found Meghan walking through arrivals. Found her leaving the terminal. Found her getting into a black Mercedes sedan. They enhanced the footage. Ran the license plate. The car had been reported stolen 3 days before Meghan landed. Found abandoned in Al-Quoz on June 20th. Wiped clean. No prints. No DNA. But the car's GPS tracking system had been disabled imperfectly. Forensic teams recovered partial data. Traced the route from the airport to Al-Quoz. To an industrial area. Police canvassed the area. Found a warehouse that had been rented cash, no questions asked, by a man giving a fake name. They searched the warehouse. Found it immaculately clean. But luminol revealed blood patterns. Lots of blood. And despite the cleaning, forensic teams found microscopic traces of DNA. Meghan Riley's DNA. And someone else's. Male. Unknown. They ran it through databases. No match in UAE. No match in Interpol. But they found something else. A partial match to DNA found at another crime scene. A hotel room in Dubai where Sarah Mitchell, the British teacher, had disappeared in October 2022. And another partial match to evidence from Rachel Kowalski's hotel room. Same killer. 3 victims. Possibly more. Dubai police released a statement. We are investigating a series of disappearances involving foreign women who came to Dubai to meet men they connected with online. We urge anyone with information to come forward. They released a description compiled from various witness accounts. Male, approximately 35 to 40 years old, Middle Eastern appearance, medium height, dark hair, and beard. It described approximately 40,000 men in Dubai. Investigators dug deeper into the Instagram account. Traced its creation to an internet cafe in Dara. Pulled security footage from January 2023. Saw a man in sunglasses and a baseball cap creating the account. Saw him again in February logging in. Saw him a 3rd time in May from a different location. He was careful. Always wore a cap. Always kept his face partially obscured. But in one piece of footage he looked up. Just for a second. Facial recognition software ran the image through databases. Omar Hassan Mansour. Egyptian national. Expired visa. Multiple previous addresses in Dubai. Police converged on his last known residence. A shared apartment in International City. His roommate said he'd disappeared weeks ago. Packed his things and left without explanation. An international manhunt began. Omar Hassan Mansour's photo was released to media worldwide. Interpol issued a red notice. He was wanted for 3 confirmed murders and suspected in several other disappearances. But Omar was gone. Had fled Dubai on June 21st, the day after he dumped Meghan's body. Took a bus to Oman. Then to Yemen. Melted into a region where tracking became nearly impossible. The investigation continued. Tom and Linda Riley flew to Dubai. Identified their daughters' remains through DNA. Sat through meetings with police and embassy officials and forensic experts who tried to explain what had happened. Nobody could explain why. Why their daughter? Why such cruelty? Why someone would do this? There were no good answers. Just the hollow reassurance that police were doing everything possible to find the man responsible. Meghan Riley's remains were cremated in Dubai. Her ashes returned to Texas. A memorial service was held at First Baptist Church in Fort Worth on July 18, 2023. Over 400 people attended. Co-workers from Methodist Dallas. Friends from nursing school. Patients whose lives Meghan had touched. Jenna gave a eulogy. Could barely get through it. Meghan believed in love. She believed in second chances and fairy tales and the goodness in people. Someone took advantage of that belief. Someone used her kindness as a weapon against her. But I refused to let his evil define her story. Megan was light. Megan was hope. Megan was everything good in this world. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure people remember that. Tom Riley didn't speak. Couldn't. Just sat in the front pew, staring at the urn holding his daughter's ashes, wondering where he'd gone wrong. Linda Riley spoke briefly. My baby girl is gone. But her story will save lives. It has to. Because if Megan's death means nothing, if it changes nothing, then evil wins. And I cannot accept that. The Riley family established the Megan Riley Foundation to raise awareness about online romance scams and provide resources for families of missing persons. They lobbied for stronger international cooperation in missing persons cases. Pushed for legislation requiring social media platforms to verify users on dating services. They turned their grief into action. Because action was the only thing that felt like justice when justice remained out of reach. Omar Hassan Mansour stayed ahead of authorities for 7 months. From Yemen, he moved to Sudan. Then to Libya. Always cash transactions. Always false names. Always one step ahead. He worked odd jobs. Slept in cheap hostels. Moved every few days. The international red notice meant his passport was flagged, but in failed states and war-torn regions, official channels didn't matter as much as money. And Omar had money. He'd sold everything before leaving Dubai. Had withdrawn every dirham he'd saved. Had approximately $43,000 in various currencies hidden in a money belt around his waist. It could have lasted him years if he'd been careful. But Omar wasn't satisfied with survival. He needed what he'd always needed: validation, power, the ability to hurt those who reminded him of everything he'd never have. In February 2024, from an internet cafe in Tripoli, Libya, Omar created another Instagram account. New name. New photos. Same strategy. He started messaging women. American. European. Young. Vulnerable. But this time he made a mistake. This time, he messaged Detective Sarah Chun from the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. Sarah had been monitoring social media for accounts matching the pattern of Omar's previous profiles. When a message arrived in her dummy account, an account designed to look like a lonely 25-year-old teacher from Minnesota, she knew immediately. The message was too similar. The phrasing, the compliments, the careful cultivation of trust. She responded, played along, let Marcus Al-Fayed, Omar's new identity, believe he'd found his next victim. For 3 weeks, Sarah corresponded with him. Built rapport. Let him think she was falling for his lies. He suggested she visit him in Dubai. Sarah said she would. Booked a fake flight. Sent him the details. And then FBI and Interpol triangulated his location based on IP addresses, phone pings, and digital breadcrumbs Omar had been too confident to hide properly. On February 27, 2024, Libyan authorities, working with Interpol, raided a hotel in Tripoli. Omar Hassan Mansour was arrested without incident. Found in his room with multiple fake passports, approximately $34,000 in cash, and a laptop containing thousands of messages to potential victims. The laptop also contained something else. Photos of Sarah Mitchell, Rachel Kowalski, Emma Thornton, Megan Riley. Trophy photos. Taken before their deaths. During their deaths. After their deaths. The forensic team who examined the laptop required counseling afterward. The images were that disturbing. Omar was extradited to the UAE in March 2024. Charged with 4 counts of premeditated murder. Multiple counts of fraud. Kidnapping. Torture. The trial began in September 2024 in Dubai's Court of First Instance. Omar showed no remorse. Sat through testimony from forensic experts, from families of victims, from investigators describing the evidence. His expression never changed. Blank. Empty. When given the opportunity to speak, he said only this. They chose to come. Every one of them chose to trust me. That was their mistake, not mine. Tom and Linda Riley sat in the courtroom. Linda cried through every session. Tom stared at Omar with an expression that was somehow both broken and murderous. Jenna testified via video link. Described Megan. Described her warnings. Described the guilt she carried every day. Could you have prevented this? Omar's defense attorney asked. I tried, but you did not succeed. No, because your client is a predator who knew exactly what to say to make an isolated woman believe she was loved. The trial lasted 6 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. DNA, digital footprints, confiscated photos, witness testimony. On November 3, 2024, Omar Hassan Mansour was found guilty on all counts. Sentencing was immediate. Under UAE law, for the murder of 4 women involving torture and premeditation, the court imposed the death penalty. Omar showed no reaction, just nodded slightly, like he'd expected it, like it didn't matter. He was transferred to Dubai Central Jail to await execution. In the UAE, execution is carried out by firing squad, usually within a year of sentencing. The Riley family issued a statement through their attorney. Justice has been served, but it does not bring Megan back. It does not undo the horror she endured. It does not erase our pain. But we hope that this verdict sends a message. The world is watching. Predators will be caught. Evil will be answered. Jenna didn't issue a statement. Just posted a photo on Instagram. Megan in her nursing scrubs, smiling at the camera, eyes bright with hope. The caption read, "This is how I choose to remember her. Not as a victim. As a friend. As a woman who believed in love. Rest in peace, Meg. I'm so sorry I couldn't save you." Omar Hassan Mansour was executed by firing squad on June 15, 2025, exactly 2 years after Megan Riley landed in Dubai. He showed no remorse. Made no final statement. Faced his execution with the same blank indifference he'd shown throughout his trial. Tom Riley said later, "I thought knowing he was dead would bring closure. It didn't. Megan is still gone. That will never change." Linda Riley never returned to teaching. She runs the Megan Riley Foundation full-time. Has helped dozens of families navigate the nightmare of missing loved ones. Has pushed for policy changes at state and federal levels. Jenna eventually returned to nursing, but she changed specialties. Now works in psychiatric care, helping trauma survivors rebuild their lives. She says she does it for Megan, because Megan would have done the same. The case led to significant changes in how international missing persons cases are handled. The Megan Riley Act, passed by Congress in 2025, requires social media platforms to verify identity on dating and relationship-focused services. The State Department created a rapid response team for missing American travelers. The FBI expanded its online crimes division to monitor international romance scams. Multiple countries signed agreements for faster cooperation in cross-border investigations. But laws and policies don't bring back the dead. Sarah Mitchell's family in Manchester still grieves. Rachel Kowalski's sister in Toronto still wonders what her sister's final moments were like. Emma Thornton's parents in Sydney still visit her empty grave. And the Riley family still sets a place for Megan at Thanksgiving and Christmas. Still hears her laugh in their memories. Still reaches for the phone to call her before remembering she's gone. The warehouse in Al Quoz has been demolished. The site is now a parking lot. The section of the Persian Gulf where Megan's remains were found is just water. No marker. No memorial. But people remember. Megan's story has been told and retold. A cautionary tale. A tragedy. A reminder that not everyone online is who they claim to be. Here's what we're left with. Megan Riley was a good person. Hardworking. Compassionate. Someone who dedicated her life to helping others. Her only crime was loneliness. Her only mistake was believing that someone loved her. And for that, she died in pieces in the Persian Gulf. So the question isn't just, how do we stop people like Omar? Though that matters. The question is, how do we build a world where people like Megan don't feel so desperate for connection that they ignore every warning sign? How do we create communities where people feel seen, valued, and loved, so they don't go searching for it in the DMs of strangers? How do we teach young women that being ordinary is enough? That you don't need to be extraordinary to deserve love? Because Omar Hassan Mansour is dead. But there are thousands more like him, lurking in comment sections, sliding into DMs, crafting perfect personas designed to exploit the lonely, the vulnerable, the ones who just want someone to notice them. And there are thousands more young women like Megan, scrolling through Instagram, watching other people live, wondering when it will be their turn to feel special. Megan Riley deserved better than the death she got. She deserved better than a man who saw her kindness as weakness to be exploited. She deserved better than to die alone and afraid in a warehouse, betrayed by someone she trusted. But deserved doesn't matter in a world where predators exist and loneliness is epidemic and social media makes it easier than ever to find victims. What matters is what we do next. Do we learn from Megan's story? Do we have harder conversations with the people we love about online safety? Do we check in on friends who seem isolated? Do we build real communities instead of digital facades? Or do we just shake our heads, say that's terrible, and scroll to the next story? I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments. If you were Megan's friend, what would you have done differently? If you were her parent, how would you have stopped this? And if you're someone who relates to Megan, someone who feels invisible, who craves connection, who's tempted by the promise of someone who finally sees you, what do you need to hear right now? Share this story. Not because it's entertaining, because it might save a life. Subscribe to True Crime Dossier if you want more stories that go deeper than headlines. Stories that honor victims by telling their full truth. And remember, the people who love you already see you. You don't need to fly across the world to find someone who values you. You're enough. Right now. Exactly as you are. Megan Riley deserved to know that. Maybe if she had, she'd still be here. Rest in peace, Megan. Your story will not be forgotten.